What's up, wrestling fans? Two Bros Wrestling Show coming at you. What time is it? We're still on time and under budget. Well, at least we're on time. Kevin, what's going on?
I mean, we even fell back an hour last night and managed to be right on time.
Right?
Maybe not right on time for everyone. In our main event topic tonight, we're talking about some person whose time should be now, but it's just not clicking the way that it should. Obviously, the wrestling world was shook when WWE acquired AAA. And that was, a huge announcement at the last WrestleMania. In practice, everything's worked except for one thing, and that is their biggest star, Vikingo. And there's many reasons why that is. And we're going to explore those reasons, what maybe can be done or can't be done to fix it, and why Vikingo has become the martyr of this whole AAA WWE alliance. But that's the main event.
There we go.
Doug created these great opening bells. I just love using a different one every week now. To open our news. And we're going to start tonight with some John Cena news. I guess we should just do this while we still can. As we know, Cena's days in WWE, as a mainstay at least, are ending next month. We've long known that Cena's last match will be December 13th on Saturday night's main event. We also pretty much know who his opponent's going to be, even though they're now going through a tournament. But it's been rumored to be Gunther all along. We'll see if they've changed things or not. But we do know now, though, when his last appearance on Raw will be. Cena's last in-ring appearance on Raw will be Monday, November 17th. Appropriately enough, WWE has saved this special date for their show at Madison Square Garden, which makes all kinds of sense. But mark that on your calendars, John Cena fans.
MSG. Last time you'll be able to see him.
If you can see him.
If you can see him.
Moving on to yet more good news. Chelsea Green, someone you will be able to see for a long time. Fortunately, she has re-upped with WWE, reportedly signing a 5-year extension to her contract. Congrats to the talented Green, who once seemed destined to spend a career, or at least most of that career, outside of WWE, but has really picked up momentum. Fans have got behind her since she's returned to the promotion. It's just happy to see all of the hard work that she does being rewarded. So that's good news.
Very good news.
More contract news. Let's talk another contract. This one is not a definitive one like Chelsea Green. This, though, is the hot topic in wrestling, and that is, where will Chris Jericho end his career? Lots of rumors. Obviously, we've reported on a few surrounding the fact that Jericho, having had been with AEW for years now, has not been on AEW TV since April. His contract expires at the end of the year. Obviously, the talk that we've repeated here and elsewhere is that the soon-to-be 55-year-old, actually this week, 55-year-old, will finish out his career in WWE. Jericho himself is fanning those flames for those rumors on his own social media. He posted photos of himself and Kevin Owens together at a Tampa Bay Lightning game. The current rumor is that Jericho's return to WWE would include a match at WrestleMania, as well as induction into the WWE Hall.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
I mean, the money would be right, and obviously, what Wrestling Hall of Fame should not include Chris Jericho? You'd tell me that one. So that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
But we'll see. We'll see. I know Tony keeps saying when he's asked that he would always be willing to do business with Chris Jericho, but we know that there's different scale of finances involved here. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Now all the contract news and good news out of the way. Unfortunately, we now dive into the not as great news and a lot of injury news, unfortunately. But as revealed on this past week's Dynamite, Penelope Ford is out of action with a UCL tear. She had to vacate her role in the current tournament to crown the first ever AEW Women's Tag Team Champion. So, Megan Bain had to find a new partner with Shafir, and so not a work. Penelope's really hurt and probably will be out for a while. More injury news. This one concerning someone we thought may be done with wrestling. This one's a little more positive in that we have an update on Zoe Stark, and that, hadn't thought of her because, quite honestly, after she injured herself on done, right. That was the rumor that after Raw earlier this year, she tore her ACL, her MCL, and meniscus, but she recently provided a hopeful update. She reports that she's running, jumping, and has full range of motion, which wasn't originally predicted that she would be able to have full range of motion. So she has stated her intention to return to the ring one day. So let's root for her, because that was an ugly injury, and it did seem like the end. So here's hoping that can happen.
Absolutely. Good for her.
Injury story number 3. Our best wishes to Mexican icon Blue Demon Jr. following a car accident this past Monday. The 59-year-old was hospitalized in a local hospital there, and has been the entire week in the intensive care unit. It's been fairly a serious car accident, but his family has provided a hopeful update that that Blue Demon Jr. has been released from the ICU, or was at least expected to be discharged from the ICU yesterday, I believe, in order to continue healing on a regular floor of the hospital. So continued well wishes to Blue Demon Jr. that he recovers from this car accident and is able to get back into the ring at some point. But the main thing is to make sure that he gets healthy and able to go home. Which actually brings us to our last story, and also just this one was a weird one, Doug. I'm sure you probably heard the back and forth on this. We got some very conflicting reports, none of it really great, on the health of the legendary Mike Rotunda this week. Crazy if you followed that. The news first was broken by Barry Windham, that Rotunda, who is his former tag team partner as well as current brother-in-law, had been placed in hospice care, which obviously brought an outpouring of a response and emotion from the wrestling world, but also a correction and clarification from Rotunda's daughter. His daughter set the record straight that he isn't actually in hospice, but rather a rehabilitation center. He'd been hospitalized for more than a month prior to the transition to the center. He suffered a heart attack in September and was in a coma for a week. Obviously, a rehab center is better than being in hospice care, but it does still sound as if things are pretty serious. The WWE Hall of Famer was one half of the U.S. Express, also spent time in WWE as IRS. He's only 67 years old. He's also the father of Bo Dallas and the late Bray Wyatt. It's been a tough few years for this family, so I think we really owe it to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And his daughter has stated that they are hopeful for a recovery. So this family's been through enough. Let's hope that that is actually possible.
I think it's kind of odd, just weird that it's good news that it was just a massive heart attack. Just a heart
A
attack, and
month,
he's not, in hospice.
in the
But I
hospital.
mean, I think we take it as a win that he's moved from his hospitalized care to a rehab unit now. So
Yeah.
let's hope he gets better soon.
67 is all he is, and has already been through a lot. So, yeah, get well soon, Mike Rotunda. And with that, Doug,
let's go.
We're ready to rumble in our main event. As stated up at the top of the show, tonight's main event topic is Vikingo the Martyr. Obviously, as we stipulated at the start, WWE acquired AAA and most of its assets. That is integral to the story here, as they picked up most, but not all, contracts of AAA. And everyone naturally thought that Vikingo, being one of the biggest stars and arguably the most athletic man in the entire promotion, you could even argue maybe even in professional wrestling, would be a big star in this. And I still think he will be. We should also probably stipulate before we get into the discussion that depending on where you live and your perspective on which side of the border you're watching most of your wrestling, you may view this topic very, very differently. That is the divide. The cultural heritage of the Mexican
Right.
promotion AAA, and now their new north of the border ownership. Now that they are under the banner of TKO, Doug,
Right.
WWE has done a great job, I think, thus far in producing these Worlds Collide events and things. But what they did not anticipate is that the person that they thought would be the face of the promotion, their new Rey Mysterio,
Mhm.
Vikingo, is getting booed out of the buildings in the country of Mexico.
So this is something I did not understand the first one of these worlds collide. I had to ask you about it because they're doing all this to give Vinkingo this huge rub. Rey Mysterio showing up, fist bumping him. Conan talking
Yeah,
him up. And I'm like, why is everybody booing this guy? He's a good guy, right? He's a baby face. And then I I knew what had happened, how there was a change of title ownership because they had a what TKO considered a less than desirable main eventer there holding that belt. So they gave it to Van Kingo, and I guess a lot of fans were not happy with that decision.
I think that what you bring up is something that we probably should just address right away because it is
Hmm.
at the heart of the Vinkingo problem, and where I decided that we should title this main event Vikingo the Martyr because it's nothing that Vinkingo did. It's nothing related to Vinkingo's obvious
Right.
talent. It involves that other person. So the scenario is this: when WWE made their purchase, the world champion in AAA was none other than Alberto El Patron, who is more familiar to American wrestling fans as Alberto Del Rio, who, if you read the dirt sheets, watch any wrestling news, know anything about the personal life and comments and controversy that's followed Alberto most of his
Hmm.
life, lots of arrests, abuse allegations, um, unsavory things said about his former employer, uh, just whether you believe some of it, all of it, most of it, there's no doubt about it that he burned every bridge with most American promotions. Most people did not want to deal with him.
Mm-mm.
So you'd think
But
this would be rather cut and dry. WWE makes a purchase. The guy who's the world champion is someone they do not want to do business with because of their past history together. So they orchestrate a title switch. Before the title switch happens, though, they have one of these, Worlds Collide events where they were already advertising
yeah,
Vikingo
let's
as the
give that
world
away.
champion, even though they had not officially made the change yet. We all
Yep.
know, Mexican wrestling fans also already know, this is a work. Everything is a work. It's not a real contest, but yet the impression that this is what they're going to do and they didn't even care enough to do it just made matters worse, that they gave away the ending as if it was unimportant. They just wanted to take things away from Del Rio and put it on their chosen person, uh, Vinkingo. From WWE's side of things, Doug, it makes all the sense in the world to not want to do business with Alberto Del Rio. I was surprised. Were you personally surprised that even the AAA audience though would reject them moving away from Alberto El Patron?
I am, but yeah, but only because only after it happened did my perspective shift because at that point I was like, okay, they're booing Vikingo. It's because Patron. So Patron is loved. Del Rio is loved in Mexico. There's a different opinion of him there than like us folks north of the border have. And it just got me thinking and wondering about the whole thing. I mean, clearly there. I will say where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't. I think all of his unsavory behavior is all allegations. I don't think everything's ever been proven in a court of law, but there's a lot going on there with his unsavory behaviors. Uh,
Yeah.
so. I don't quite get it. I don't know the character that they were pushing in AAA, but clearly he was a fan favorite, and because to me it makes perfect sense. Let's give
Or
it
what?
to
Or was he?
Vikingo. I
It
don't know.
yeah.
I don't.
If you are a lucha watcher, if you are south of the border, a Mexican wrestling fan, if you know a little more about the Sonata, like, did you already love Alberto El Patron, or did you embrace Alberto El Patron because you saw it as, well, he's ours, and this is now
Hmm.
the corporate infiltrators taking away something from one of ours? I don't know which it is, or if it's a mix of both. Do people really love Alberto El
Right?
Patron, or is it just what he stands for and what Vikingo stands for? Even though, um, I mean, character wise, there's really, you can't compare the two as far as that goes.
Hmm.
Which is why it's so unfortunate that Vikingo is the one that's taking the heat, because it should be noted it was in the match that WWE gave away that they
Hmm.
had to make the switch. When it happened at Triple Mania, Alberto versus Vikingo, the crowd resoundingly sided with Alberto El Patron.
Hmm.
So, what do you do? I mean, the core grievance is, and this maybe is it too, Mexican wrestling fans just feel that Vikingo's title push came at the expense of Del Rio, or at least they associate it with an attempt to hurt Del Rio. We do know that lucha culture is very much based on history and heritage. There's a reason
Hmm.
why we had in our news Blue Demon Jr.'s still wrestling. He's
Right.
59 years old. Like, they love the folks that they love the
Hmm.
history of Mexican wrestling. And Alberto has played a very important role over the last several decades in Mexican wrestling, in AAA particularly. So Vikingo's championship win was, and push was seen by some leveraging the WWE AAA leadership to take out one of our own and put in some perceived favoritism for someone that they did not necessarily think was ready. Just not that
Hmm.
emerging organically. It just caused
Right.
resentment that I don't think Vikingo would otherwise have, because Vikingo has always been a superstar. I remember first seeing him in, I want to say maybe TNA. And obviously, he had a couple matches in AEW, and like, his
Hmm.
name was already starting to get out there in North America. So
Yes.
everything was poised before even this relationship. So it's really weird that the guy who is homegrown is become the martyr in this relationship, just because he is seen as the corporate champion of
Hmm.
WWE.
Or he was the corporate champion.
Or or he was the corporate champion.
Yeah.
Um, do you think that move was made to take the title off of him? Do you think that that was something that was likely in the cards, in the books, or was that a reaction to, okay, this is the early stages of this relationship, and we thought that he would be beloved. This isn't working. We need to pivot fast because it's that crucial beginning, and this could overturn the apple cart if people just reject it outright.
That
We need to move the
yeah,
belt.
giving Dom that belt, was a flip to a corporate audible, clearly, because they put the belt on Dom. First of all, Dom beats, even though Dom then becomes the corporate champion, but it's not really, he doesn't get that rub because he took out the corporate martyr.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, and everybody loves Dom. I mean,
Even though he's
it
the
is a,
heel.
yes. I mean, I was, just watching people cheer for him, and just like they cheered for Eddie. I mean, he's yeah, well, we could do a whole show about Dom, but I think it was a
We
good
probably
move
will.
to, yeah, to move off of Vikingo, get that heat, that legitimate, heat off of Vikingo, give Dom that belt, see if it has the same reaction. If it does, that's all right. Dom is a WWE superstar and can, weather any kind of AAA heat that there may be and bring more eyes to AAA, I think.
Do you think that if they would have gone directly to Dom beating Del Rio, that it would have been the same thing? It would have just been Dom taking the hit in Mexico?
Yes. Seeing the reaction and not even Rey Mysterio being able to, giving him a rub to, at the beginning
I mean,
of his
Ray,
match.
of all people.
Yeah, exactly. They're booing him immediately as soon as they see him. And, you know, I think whoever would have done this, seeing the crowd reaction, would be in that Vikingo position. But I think on paper, Vikingo made perfect sense, especially to TKO and the powers that be. Get the belt off of
Yeah.
Patron. We don't want anything to do with that. We've got enough nonsense like that with McMahon still lingering on, in the background. So we don't want to bring any more trouble in. But then it makes sense on paper. It just didn't go over like they thought it would.
So Mexican lucha culture, again, is so steeped in tradition that do you think that the way to repair Vikingo would be, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, do you think
Hmm.
that there is an olive branch that needs to be made to look like you have done right by Del Rio? Is there any aspect of rehabbing the Vikingo character or healing the relationship between it feeling like, but to some AAA fans, that our lucha is being taken over by people who don't understand it, to make some sort of olive branch gesture to bring Alberto Del Rio back into the fold? Or do you think that he is so toxic that just let it die down and let Vikingo take extra time if needed to rehab? Is it possible to do it without Del Rio being involved?
I speaking from a very north of the border, wrestling mind, I'm saying
Yeah.
just let it either, just let Vikingo lay low and eventually it will blow over. Or alternatively, what they should have done was just lean into it and went full corporate heel with him and just
Yeah.
leaned into that.
So Vinkingo has, from what I have read, been demonstrating more heelish uh, mannerisms,
Okay.
persona. They've not gone full heel with him yet. So you're saying that maybe they are tiptoeing into seeing if it would work, and that the best thing they can do is just let him go full heel, and then fans will eventually forget.
Yes, yes, because I think you take a mixture of both. Let him go full heel. Let some time go by. Keep that belt on Dom for a little while, and then let Vikingo take it back. Um, when he is full into heel mode, and I think it should be leaned into as a full corporate heel of some sort. We don't need our AAA version of the corporation or anything like that, but something along
Well,
those lines.
if you think back to um, the early days of Roman Reigns breaking out of the Shield and WWE deciding that he is going to be the next John Cena, he's going to be the next central
Mhm.
person we build a promotion around. That didn't even have the cultural aspects to it,
Right.
or didn't have the takeover aspects to it. It just was a straight up, this is who obviously the company wants you to cheer, and fans
Hmm.
resoundingly rejected it. And it's only when WWE gave up on that idea of fans rallying behind him like the next John
Yep.
Cena that it actually started to work for him. And that was
Hmm.
him going full on tribal chief heel. You think
Yep.
that even with the cultural elements complicating it maybe a bit more, even with the Del Rio sideshow complicating it a bit more, you think then, if I'm hearing you correctly, that the same dynamics would apply here, that a full-on heel
Absolutely.
turn eventually will have people probably cheering him when he's like considered cool again.
Absolutely, because with a full-on heel turn, there comes a redemption arc, whether it's, 3,000 days from now as champion or, 3 months as champion. You can work that heel redemption arc in after you lean in heavy to to the heel and, flipping babyface again if that's the way they want to go with it. But keep the belt on Dom for a while, get some more eyes on AAA, then have Vikingo, maybe even have Vikingo show up on WWE TV, and do his own little corporate invasion there.
I'm actually surprised that, considering that we have had a lot of crossover in NXT with AAA talent,
Hmm.
that they've not gone that route yet, knowing that if he was in the Performance Center in Orlando and just you were looking at his high flying ability alone, that
Hmm.
man would not get booed. I'm surprised they've not gone that route of, unless they just think it would complicate things south of the border if they come up
Right.
here and try to pretend like nothing's going on with him, that maybe it's
Mhm.
best to not put him in that situation right now while they try to figure out what to do.
Yeah, and they should probably really be listening to Conan, with his booking ideas and how to repair this situation and make it right. And because Conan knows that audience better than anybody at TKO or in Stanford. You know,
Absolutely.
Conan
There's a
Ray
reason they
Ray.
retain. That's a reason they retained
Hmm.
him, because of his booking in AAA and his long standing history with the product. He
Hmm.
knows. Because he knows, though, Doug, do you think there's a way that, without having to repair the actual relationship with Del Rio, that there's a way to at least acknowledge the history and respect the legacy of Del Rio without actually having him involved in a way that might seem like a goodwill gesture by AAA fans? Because do you think it's
So
just the way they handled it as much as anything?
it is, and
We
how
don't
do
care
you?
enough about your WrestleMania. I mean, it's your
Mhm.
WrestleMania, essentially, your big event. We're just
And we're
going to
gonna give it
spoil that
away.
whole
Yeah.
thing for a free show we're putting out on YouTube. We're just letting you know. Like, that had to feel like a real slap in the face to the lucha culture.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. But I don't know how you acknowledge the contributions that Patron has done without without him, you know, and acknowledge that piece of the AAA history and the mega championship now without him, because you can't say, yeah, we'd like to thank everybody who came before. You got to talk about him, and if you're talking
Yeah.
about him to American audiences, you're going to have to talk a lot about a lot more, than just his contributions to wrestling. It's kind of like putting WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia. You're going to have to talk about that at some point too.
Do you think it's possible that if they don't do anything, that it'll be the CM Punk thing, where for years you're going to go through Arena Mexico and hear Del Rio chants?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe 10 years from now, Del Rio shows up and everything's fine.
I mean, it is possible that at some point, but it is, until that happens, going to at least complicate WWE's relationship with its Mexican audience. I
Hmm.
hope that it doesn't fall on Vikingo to have to be a martyr in this, because if you've ever seen him work, you realize that he's way too talented to wear this one solely on his own. I would think, though, that once he becomes more of an internationally exposed superstar, and not just, I mean, maybe lucha culture will not like that they might have to share him. But is there any way, and I know it's a lot of pressure, but is there any way, with the style he wrestles and the way that he wrestles, is there any way that he would not organically get over once he starts to be exposed elsewhere, regardless of what happens when he's in Arena del Mexico?
Oh, I think it's
Arena Mexico.
absolutely, he could absolutely, excel anywhere he goes, except in the AAA promotion right now. I mean, you pick him up, bring him up here, put him in the performance center, let him go wild. If there's a fear of the stigma coming with him, slap a mask on him, give him some sort of cool gimmick. I mean, we have already seen how much people love Penta and Ray Phoenix and Ray Mysterio and
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
Ultimo Americana, so.
At the end of the day, excellent in-ring work and credible competition is gradually going to win over a crowd, even a
Mhm.
crowd that is right now putting the blame on him, even though it isn't his. I think maybe that is the key. Maybe you just take him out of the promotion altogether. You have that's the great thing about being a conglomerate, right? You have so
Hmm.
many arms of the corporation that you can move him to. You don't have to necessarily keep him
Yes.
in Mexico. So maybe do the heel route and see
Hmm.
if the Mexican fans re-embrace him or forget or forgive and forget. I know they don't forget, but just move on beyond it. Or if
Right.
they don't, move him to. I mean, we've seen him on AEW. It's not like okay, we need to send him to the performance center to learn how to work. Like it's not a
Oh yeah.
a
Yeah.
Jade Cargill situation where we take him from AEW and then
Hmm.
teach him how to wrestle. Um, he'd be ready. He wouldn't even have to go to NXT. He could show up on Raw next week and he'd get over and fit right in. I think.
Hmm. Agreed. Yeah.
Well, here's hoping that they do one of these things because if they were determined to force feed a face
Yes.
Vikingo to the AAA audience after they've resoundingly rejected it already, you would end up with learning no lessons from the Brian Danielson situation of not giving them, Brian Danielson or force feeding them Roman Reigns. They would just be doing it in a different culture, in a whole more
Yeah.
complicated situation.
They really would. I mean, force feeding. I don't think is the way to go about this, unless you're forcing the hill corporate stooge Vikingo, like corporate Vikingo, down. Forcing it that way and just playing it all up. I mean, there's all kinds of like Patron, anti-Patron, like T-shirts and propaganda he could start wearing, and just lean into this heavy corporate thing and just go full on heel with it.
Well,
But
see, I was wrapping it up. I was wrapping things up, and then you bring that
I
up
don't.
though, because now I can't
I
wrap it
mean,
up because if they do that, wouldn't you have to find some way of doing business with Del Rio, or is that possible to do
well,
without him? Because then you're talking about him again, right?
I think it's possible to do that without him because you're acknowledging him, you're acknowledging that character that you're not. Yes, you can do that without him because you don't have to bring him in for that. You just have to use all that to get heat for Vikingo. Not like he needs it right now, but
Yeah.
lean into it.
I agree with you. Either you lean into it and have him own it, and that is your way of actually acknowledging to wrestling fans Del Rio's contribution by keeping
Hmm.
him part of things. And fans will probably end up appreciating the fact that you're not trying to just erase him from the history and
Right.
would probably begrudgingly think, okay, this is kind of funny, this is kind of cool. And then Vikingo, it isn't the Roman situation where, quite honestly, Roman's
Mm-mm.
in-ring work did not match the level of the push. Now his character work made up for it. If Vikingo can own that character work and lean into the heel persona, he has that plus being one of the
Yes.
most dynamic wrestlers and high flyers in the entire world. So there's no reason why this shouldn't work in the long term and that Vikingo will be fine. Big
I think he
picture.
will be fine. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he has to come north of the border to establish himself, so be it. But I would like to see him get over in his, native country and be embraced and not be martyred by TKO because of unsavory things that a former champion allegedly has done.
So let's bottom line it. You and I seem to be in agreement that the Vikingo character and Vikingo himself does not have to be
Hmm.
martyred in this scenario, and that ultimately he won't be. But let me ask you this:
Yeah.
Roman Reigns was the chosen corporate
Hmm.
champion that fans rejected, and he ended up becoming the center of a promotion. Do you think that
Hmm.
not only can Vikingo be healed as a character and accepted eventually, do you think that one day he will be the Rey Mysterio that they wanted him to be, and that he will actually be capable of being the central figure of an entire promotion and an entire lucha culture? Do you think that ship sailed because it was bungled, or do you think that that's still possible for him?
I think it's still possible, an incoming dad joke here, but to be healed, he has to be healed first. and they lean into it. So
So listen up, TKO,
thank you.
WWE, AAA. Vikingo is too talented, too good to not survive this scenario. It is truly one
Mhm.
of the few missteps that WWE has made in this whole thing. And I just wonder if it could have been completely avoided had they gone the more traditional route of just having a
Right.
title switch occur without giving away the ending as if it didn't matter. And that, I think,
Hmm.
is what really got him in the hot water to begin with. It was kind of an unnecessary self-inflicted wound.
Yep. WWE will do that from time to time and just shoot themselves in the foot, though.
So heal up from that gunshot, WWE. You can fix this. It's not too late.
Heal up. I love it. Heal up.
And with that, Doug,
Yes.
let's move on to our big finish. Botch of the week, my friend. What got your goat this week?
Didn't really get my goat. I'm trying to look up something here on my phone real quick too, but it didn't really get my goat. It just kind of struck me as a little bit funny and just a little bit unfortunate because poor Lyra Valkyria is always having these like botches that are like these wardrobe malfunctions, and then she gets her hair stuck in Alexa Bliss, and this it seems like she is always having these weird mishaps. So I'm keeping it light this week, and if you saw that, you know what I'm talking about, where they have to cut away from Alexa Bliss while Alexa Bliss, not necessarily fully topless, but has to get Lyra's hair out of her like whatever she was wearing.
uh,
Ah,
I'm not sure you didn't just send hundreds of people searching for the recording of SmackDown. Uh,
yeah, yeah. Go find that. Have fun with that, y'all.
for me, it's tangibly wrestling related. Actually, it's more than tangibly wrestling related. But I'm going to go call out something that we talked about a little bit last week as a botch because it was upcoming, and now it's fully on here. Google and Disney did not come to an agreement on extending their carriage deal for Disney networks on YouTube TV. And this means that Disney channels like ESPN have gone dark, and services like ESPN Unlimited, which, as you know, carries WWE's PLEs, remains a separate subscription for YouTube subscribers. Meanwhile, Hulu plus Live TV and many large cable companies include this service in their cost. So
Mhm.
the fans lose out in this one, and obviously both sides pointing fingers, blaming the other as being the bad guy in this scenario. But in the day, you still have a more expensive package you have to cobble
Yes,
together in order to be
sure do.
able to watch all of the things that we used to get with just a couple of subscriptions. So boo
Hmm.
to Google and Disney for both of them, basically lying to the customer that it's totally the other person's fault. It's all about the money and they couldn't make it
It
work.
is.
And we're going to end up paying for it eventually. However, it works out, you're either going to have to move around if you had YouTube TV, or you're just going to have to pony up and pay a lot more than you used to for PLEs. So, boo to all
Yep.
involved.
Yep. It's well, TKO comes out on top, but the
Yeah,
rest of us
they'll get
lose.
they'll get their money regardless.
Absolutely. Did you freeze up? Did I freeze up? Did one of us
I
freeze
think it
up?
I think it
Okay.
must have been me. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I was asking you
You're
about
just
your
like,
performance of the week. Yeah, it was probably me. It looked like I left the screen
so
for a
here we
while.
go. Finally, last night on Saturday Night's Main Event, and I've been trying to find the agent, the producer of this match. Um, I still can't find out who put the match together, but whoever put together that match with Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill, finally it clicked on how they're supposed to book Jade Cargill.
Yep.
Finally, finally, they have returned her. I mean, she's a lot sharper now. She's not as green as she was in AEW, but this is the way you book the girl. She is Goldberg like. She is a beast. I'm pretty sure there's not an ounce of body fat on this woman. You turn her heel, you let her crush people like she did the champion, 5-minute match, in, out, over. That's that's the way you book her. And just for that fact alone, that's my that's right there. That's my match. My performer, Jade Cargill, finally booking. I really want to call out whoever the producer was who said this is the way we put this match together, because that's the brain in this match. But I'm giving it all to Jade and whoever put that match together, and even to Tiffany too.
And let's give credit where it's due, because Jade isn't as green as she was. And I know she wasn't asked to do as much, and the booking does help a performer. But if it was 5 minutes, it was probably the best 5 minutes she's had on WWE television in a singles match yet. I mean, there's nothing that I could pick apart about that match as in a normal Jade Cargill match where maybe it goes on a little too long, or there's a spot that looks overly rehearsed or is botched, or, the greenness still will come through. I thought she looked great last night, and it does help to work with a Tiffany Stratton for sure.
Absolutely.
But she did her part, and it's the best she'd looked. And you made the big acquisition. She looks like $1 million. You made a huge deal of bringing her over. If you're not going to eventually work her up to that top position, I mean, if you're going to do it, why not now? I mean, why wait? Do it like this.
And speaking of acquisition, a complete side note, but have you seen the 4 AEW acquisitions that WWE has collected over the past couple of years, all together in one picture, all holding championships? You got CM Punk, you got Ricky Saints, you got Jade Cargill, and you got Cody Rhodes, all holding WWE championships, hanging out together in one picture.
That's hilarious.
Great. I'm sure Tony's head has exploded.
Well, I'm going to pull a Doug. I'm going to do a performance,
all right,
and wrap it up into a match of the week. And you kind of
cool.
You mentioned him just there. One chick magnet Punk. Hey, we have called it like we've seen it. We're longtime Punk fans, and then the very controversial Punk did some very controversial things, and we have talked about him probably more than just about anybody not named McMahon on this program the last few years, and not always for the best of reasons. All of that aside, Devil getting his due. Come on, man. That's why he came back. Yeah. He wanted to come back to WWE and be at the top of the business with the top promotion and make some sort of amends to the nasty way that he left, and just the nasty relationship he had with pro wrestling in general for a while. A wound that really didn't heal in his time in AEW. But I feel like there was some true emotion in those. There was some real feelings being expressed there. That wasn't just the booking. That looked like a man who really felt somewhat redeemed by the journey. And hey, it was a great match. That was my match of the week. So, and my performer wrapped up all in one. CM Punk, this is finally welcome home after all this time. This is what you came back for. That 5 minutes at WrestleMania doesn't count. This is going to be an actual title reign. Yes, it was a necessary one because of the injury to Seth Rollins, but still, kind of like I said earlier with Jade Cargill, if not now, when are you going to pull this trigger? This was the obvious way to go, and that's no offense to Jay, who is, I think, on his way to becoming a pretty good heel in all of this. So I think for storyline purposes, that works as well. So, I think it was the right move all the way around. So everyone wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was going to, performer of the week, I very well could have just gone non-wrestling, and congratulations to my Los Angeles Dodgers, back-to-back world champions. First time that's happened in 25 years. Doug has no idea what I'm talking about, but
do they get a belt?
I'm repping today. Yeah, they probably do. WWE gives everyone belts when they win. I'm sure they have WWE belts that we'll probably see on Raw tomorrow. Pictures of the Dodgers probably celebrating with championship belts, because that's what WWE does. They do that marketing better than just about anybody. By the way, WWE is quick on that. I'm sure the belts were already there for the Toronto Blue Jays had it gone the other way too. Those are probably going back into the smelter to
remove those nameplates, put these nameplates on.
Yep, selling at an emergency stand near you. But
Hmm.
yeah, that is the big finish. That is the show. We appreciate you so much for tuning in. As you can see, next week, Doug, a topic that it's hard to believe that in the 5+ years we've been doing this show, we have never done. It is one of the time honored traditions in the world of wrestling analysis. Who is your Mount Rushmore in pro wrestling? We have actually managed to avoid doing that with one another. I'm going to put us both to the
That's
test. I have to narrow it down. Male Mount Rushmore, because we're going to have some different editions of these over time, but we'll start with the male edition next Sunday night. So everyone be thinking about who you would put up there, because Doug and I are going to have to think long and hard. There's only so many spots, Doug.
man. I know, and that's I've been thinking about this one for weeks now, and it's
In
this
some
is
ways,
hard. It really
in some
is.
ways, most wrestling fans have been thinking about this their whole lives. It is a common question to ask, so we
Right? Yeah,
cannot
yeah.
wait to debate this one out and hear what you all think too. But that's next week.
Hmm. That's next week.
So
Oh,
until then,
are we done? Oh, go watch some wrestling. Thanks for watching, everybody.
thanks, guys.